Shalom family, how y'all doing? This is Or Ibri with the Living Word Initiative, coming to you all with another video here today. The topic of the video, we're going to talk about, the title of the video is called, Is Money Your Master or Your Servant? So in the video today, we're going to talk about making money your servant, how to make money work for you, or make more money work for you as opposed to you working more for money, and just different investment techniques while we're here in the society that we're in this current time. First, I want to give thanks, praise, and honor to our Creator, to our Source, to our Father, to our Abba, to our Ab. Thanking Him for just giving us life. Thanking Him for giving us the opportunity to just be able to complete thoughts and breathe air and walk on this earth and have a sound mind and be able to communicate with one another and be able to show love and show compassion and just all of these things that He gives us the ability to do. We give Him all the thanks, praise, and all the glory and honor for that. So we're going to get right into the lesson. So I'm going to do, a little bit of scripture with this, just to kind of tie it together. All right, so I'm going to read from the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24. It states, "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the other and love the other, or he will hold on to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Backdrop about this verse, as we know, this is Yahushua, so some of you all call Jesus Christ. He was just given a parable or an example about how you can't serve two masters. Here it finishes off with you cannot serve God or Elohim and mammon. A lot of people like to equate mammon to money. Mammon in Greek time and in Roman time was actually a deity that they served. He was the deity of prosperity. So basically Yahushua was saying you can't serve the High Father, you can't serve the deity of mammon. You're going to love one and hate the other. Now, this is where a lot of our influence when it comes to money and the Creator come in at. So oftentimes we feel like it has to be either or. Either you're going to serve the Creator or you're going to have money. And a lot of times, especially people who are not quite savvy with their finances, they think people who have money are doing wicked, evil, and bad things and are going against the Creator. Some people in this world do wicked, bad, and evil things, but a lot of times that's not it at all. Some people are just great with their money. They don't have to be serving money to be good with money. But now there's another scripture that I want to touch on that's also in the Bible, and it kind of makes this scripture a little problematic if you don't understand them both in their context. So I'm going to read. It comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 19. It states, "A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry." The part I'm about to read right now coming up is the important part. "But money answers all things." So in one part of the Bible, we have a verse that tells us that money answers all things. But in another part of the Bible, we have a verse that's essentially telling us you have to choose between the Creator and money. So now it's like, okay, how do I do that? Why? Like now that we think that there's a contradiction, it's really not. Like I said, it's context. So this is where we get into what the title of the lesson is: making money your servant as opposed to your master. See, that's the difference. When you work for money, you serve money. So you go out and you do all of these different things to get money. But when you make money work for you, now there's no competition. Now I don't have to worry about, am I allowing my time to be soaked up by chasing money as opposed to doing the will of the Creator. I can have money, have an abundance, and still do the will of the Creator. See, that's the thing. We always think it has to be either or. No, we want to get it to where it's this and that. So one quote that I found by Francis Bacon, He says, money is a great servant, but is a bad master. So if we know that money is a great servant, but it's a bad master, now we have to get to, well, what can we do to get money to work for us? What can we do to make it that we aren't chasing money, but we're making money chase us? What can we do so that way we can allow money to we can allow money to do what it's supposed to do, and we aren't dedicating all of our time to it. So one way to do this, like we stated, is to make money your servant. Now, Warren Buffett says, if you can't make money while you sleep, you'll be working until you die. A lot of us have this preconceived notion that we have to chase money, chase money, chase money. We have to work, X, Y, Z, which is true. However, there's a smart way to do things. So basically, I want to give you all 3 simple steps for beginners to make money your servant. So that way it no longer has to be your master. So the first way that we can make money our servant, that way it's not our master, is to create an intellectual property. I have a quote here by Robert E. Smith, which is a black billionaire here in America. He stated, "You will make more money with your mind than you will ever be able to make with your body." With that being said, most of us have been conditioned to be workers, physical workers, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a time and a place for everything. You're going to have to use your body just like you're going to have to use your mind. However, you will make an abundance of more money if you're using your mind. Also, going back to what Warren Buffett said, unless you're making money while you sleep, you're going to be working until you die. And it's just like, let's take the analogy of working out. The reason why people love to do resistance training as opposed to, let's just say, regular running. So when you do regular running, your body is burning the calories in that moment that you're running. That's when you're burning and losing weight. But when you do resistance training with weights, even after you're done lifting weights, your body continues to burn calories and burn fat. So even while you're not technically physically working out, after you're done working out, your body's still doing what the workout was doing when you're doing resistance training. So with that being said, when you create an intellectual property, it's just like doing resistance training, because now you have money coming in that is being made while you're not doing anything. You don't have to be physically doing anything. So a few things that you can do, that you can create as far as intellectual property. You can write a book. You can create a course. For those of you who are more hands-on, you can create or invent a toy or a safety product. So when it comes to books, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how to write a book. I'm not savvy enough to write a book. I've always been taught where there's a will, there's a way. So I've just finished my 2nd book. I'm working on my 3rd book. I'm not the most intelligent or articulate individual. However, when I studied how to write a book, it made it easier to write a book. Also, for those of you all who just don't want to commit that type of time, you can always give your ideas to an individual and they'll transcribe a book for you. So you can pay somebody to take your ideas and turn it into a book format. So let's just say you have, lived this elaborate, illustrious life, and you had all of these great highs and low lows, and you're like, man, this will make a great story. But you're like, I don't know how to exactly write it. Send the things to an individual who writes books, to a ghostwriter. They'll write the book for you. Send it back to you. You read it over. You're like, oh man, I like this. Oh wow, he really captured this event in my life. Oh wow, they really got this. Oh maybe, they didn't elaborate on this part like I wanted them to. And then you send it back and you let them know. Or if it's perfect, then you run with it. You get it printed off. You get it published, and then you start selling it. And now you have a great book. Now, once the book is created and it's out there, you don't have to work as far as the book anymore. The work has been done. You've created the product. The same thing when it comes with a course. Like, we're all in this age right now of information. We're all in information age. And the great thing with us all being in information age, we're all learning, but we all also have something that we can teach someone else. We all hold a specific piece of knowledge that someone else needs to further their life. So if you have, it could be anything, like you could be someone who does sewing and knitting, and you've created a technique that allows you to sew and knit a lot quicker than the average individual. Well, you can teach people that. You can turn that into a course, a how-to, charge people for that. And now when people are like, okay, I want to save time on my knitting, I want to save time on my sewing, they can do that. You can create stuff. If you want to do a course on anything, if you know how to build specific things, if you know how to create specific, like these are all things that you can create a course for. Once you do the work and create the course, it's out there. So now people are going to come and buy. So 2-3 o'clock in the morning, if you're asleep, somebody could come and buy. You working your normal job and you're on the clock and you doing what you're doing, someone's buying your product. Your product is consistently being purchased and you've already done the work. So now that is your money working for you. Now you're no longer a servant to money. Your money is now serving a servant to you because you've done the work and now it's just coming in. Now it's coming in. You committed. Maybe you had to go and purchase a new camera. So the money that you had, you went and you purchased a better camera. You went and you purchased maybe some tools to be able to, let's just say you want to teach people how to, I don't know, maybe you want to teach people how to build barn doors or something. You go and you buy the tools and you buy the supplies. Now that you have the tools and the supplies, that was your money that you went out and spent for that. But now that money is now working for you because now you're consistently bringing in income using that money. So now that money is being your servant. It went out, it did something, and now it's bringing back residual. Like I said, toys, safety products. If you're someone who likes to work with their hands, kids love toys, kids love playing. Maybe you create a new type of toy that kids can play with. Everyone's big on safety. Maybe you create improve on a safety product that you see or that you feel like can be improved on. These are all things that you can do that allows your money to work for you. The second thing we have is stock investment. So I know a lot of people, especially who are new to investing or people who don't invest at all, they have a specific thought process that has been taught to them about stocks and investing. And a lot of times they either think it's slow money, they think it's for another demographic of people, or they just are afraid to really delve into it because we fear the unknown. Simple as that. But one of the easiest ways that you can start investing with stock and make immediate money is, let's just say, fractional shares. So on platforms such as Cash App, Robinhood, there are different platforms where you do not have to purchase an entire share of a company. You could purchase a fraction of that company. However, you still would make the same percentage return on the money. So if a stock went up 150% that day and you had, X amount of dollars invested, well, you'll still make 150% return. You're just making on your fraction that you have invested. So if a stock is, say, right now Tesla is around $2,000 right now a share, you don't have $2,000, let's say you have $200. Tesla makes, let's just say, 20% that day. Well, your $200 is still going to make 20% that day. So here's the great thing about why fractional shares are important. I want to do like I did a little math here. You all can kind of see it right here. The purpose of compound interest and how important it is. So when it comes to, let's just say you're investing, you got $100. You spend $100 on a fraction of a share. You do your research, you do your studying, you see, okay, let's just say, for instance, there's a company, Foot Locker. A lot of us are familiar with Foot Locker. Foot Locker has earnings coming up this week. So let's just say you've done your study and your due diligence on Foot Locker. Foot Locker before earnings, for the 5 days before earnings, previously, every quarter, maybe it goes up 10% every day before earnings. So you've peeped this pattern now and you're like, okay, cool. So this is where the great thing comes in at. So first off, I know I'm sitting here and I'm talking about finances and the times that we're in. A lot of people are like, the American dollar is about to crash, the economy is about to crash. Cool. I can guarantee you this. It's not going to crash tomorrow. It's not going to crash today. It's not going to crash next week. And maybe not even crash next month. And in the society that we live in, you still use this money that may be or maybe not about to crash. You still have to use that money to purchase the things you need. So for you all who are bulking up on supplies and whatnot for the moment that society crashes or the economy tanks, you can still use this money in this circumstance. This money in this way that I'm teaching you to go and purchase your supplies, and that's not money that you have to work. Like, that's your money making you money, and that money that you've made is not going out and buying those supplies. So now you don't have to work as hard to go get the things that you need to be in survival. So let's just say you have $100 to invest, and every day it goes up 10%. So on day one, that $100, 10%, you've made $10. You keep it in there. You roll it over. Now you're at $110 for day two. Now day two, and y'all can check me on my math. Make sure I'm correct. If I'm wrong, put it in the comment section. DM me, hey, you're off. But this is kind of how I gathered it. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I could be wrong. So day two, you make another 10%. Now you never touch that first $10 gain. So now your next day, you're at $110. Day two, on your $110, you made 10% gain. So now that bumps you up. Now you've made $11. Now that bumps you up. You add that to your next. So on day three, you jump another 10%, which is a $12 gain, because you're not taking your money out yet. Because okay, every day they're gonna run up. So let me keep my money here so that way I get this compound interest on my money. And this is how great compound interest is. So then the next day, day four, you're up $13. Now you're at $133. So you've made $33 over the last 4 days. You don't have to work any extra hours. You don't have to do any extra. You literally just let your money sit, did a little research for a couple of hours on a company, and allowed your money to make you money. Now your money's working for you. Now your money is your servant. You didn't go out and work for the money. The money didn't master you. You've mastered the money. Then you go to your next day. So now you add that money to that next for day five, which is that $13. So now you're at $146. Then on that day five, you make your next 10%. Then you make $15, and I rounded some up. So now at the end of 5 days, you've done your research. The stock gets sold off because people take their profits before earnings. This is hypothetical. So now you're at a grand total of $161. So with that $100 in 1 week, you've made an additional $61 you didn't have to work for. Now you can take that extra $61 for those of you all who are, doomsday preppers. Now you can go out and you can buy some more rice. You could go out and buy some more cases of water. You could go out and you can buy cans of beans. You can go out and you can buy, maybe you could find a cheap hydrator, dehydrator. Like, these are things that you can do with this money, and you didn't have to go work extra for it. Now that's just with $100. Just imagine if you did that with $200, $500, $1,000, $2,000. Like, now these things go up, and you didn't have to do anything extra at all. So that's that. For you all who maybe are not on that playing field, now you've made that extra $61, and this is gonna tie into the next point that I'm gonna transition into. But now that money can then be saved, and you just do that with a different company every week. And this is on fractional shares. This isn't like any other part of investment. This is just fractional shares. The great thing about fractional shares, this is why I love fractional shares. When you own an entire share of a company, that's great. That means you own you own that company. Fractional shares, you still own a company, but you only own a fraction. A fraction of a fraction, I'm sorry. When you have the fractional share, you don't have to sell your entire stake in that company in order to make your money. So if I own an entire traditional share, let's just say of Apple, and I make $100 profit in a day, well, in order for me to get my gain, I would have to sell that share, so I would lose my stake in the company. But with fractional shares, I don't have to do that. With fractional shares, if I make a profit, let's say here's $60, I can literally take out the profit, the $60, leave the $100 in there, and I still have the original investment in there. So I'm not losing. So that's the wonderful thing about fractional shares, is you can take out a portion. You don't have to remove your entire stake in the company. And then that way now I can take that $100 and transfer it to the next stock or whatever, or take that whole 161 and move it forward. So that's why number 2, which is investing, which is in fractional shares. That's why that is a beautiful way to allow your money to work for you. That's literally you not working for money, money working for you. The third thing that we have is real estate. Now, we have a plethora of ways to invest in real estate. However, the topic of this video is for basics. It's for people who either are just starting, people who have limited knowledge, or even people who have limited time. So they don't have, for instance, one easy way to invest in real estate, which I'm not going to get into, but it's just like, for instance, wholesaling or bird dogging. Like, some people don't have the time to drive around looking for properties that are either abandoned or want to be sold. People don't have time for that. However, one thing that you can invest in, it kind of ties back, it does tie back to the stock market, is REITs. And a REIT is a real estate investment trust. Now, REITs, basically they are stock investment, or they're companies that invest in properties, leasing, and management. So basically, it's like when you own a REIT, it's like you're outsourcing being a landlord to a management company. So you still own a part of that. You still own a part of that company that they invest in, but they're doing all the work. You're just reaping the benefits. Now, the great thing about REITs is you get paid dividends on the shares that you own. So if you are getting dividends, now that's money that you're getting back, you're not working for. And on top of that, you are owning some companies. Now, REITs, because it's real estate, a lot of people are like, we're in a pandemic. You're talking about real estate, people da-da-da-da. That's why you have to, really be smart, because there even though we were in a pandemic, and even though it, quote unquote, the country shut down, there were still essential businesses that did not shut down. That's the thought process that you have to have. Like, okay, what companies, like, all right, I want to invest in these real estate investment trusts. What companies did not shut down during the pandemic? What companies were essential companies that continued to run? And then you want to find REIT stocks or REIT investment firms that invest in those companies, that own that land. So I have, 3 here. So we have LXP, which is Lexington Realty Trust. Now, Lexington Realty Trust, 3 of their main companies that they invest in is Amazon, Best Buy, and Kroger. Amazon, as we know, has been booming since the pandemic started. Booming period, but booming since the pandemic started. Best Buy, they're all electronics, technology, no matter how we feel or think, it's not going anywhere. So they're going to be moving. And then Kroger, which is a large national chain grocery store. That's essential. That's food. People need to eat. They're not going anywhere. They're open. So you're not going to want to look at, say, movie theaters. You're not going to want to, at this time, maybe want to look at, say, amusement parks, things like that, because they were shut down and they have money coming in. So you may not get dividends, or your dividends may be lessened. However, these companies, they didn't miss a beat. Some of them even grew. Like, let's just say, even though Tesla isn't necessarily a real estate company, but if you were finding a way to invest in Tesla, Tesla became more valuable in the pandemic. So those are the things that you have to think about. The next one is Triple N, National Realty Properties. This REIT invests in or manages companies like Sunoco, 7-Eleven, and BJ's. Another essential business that did not shut down were gas stations. Gas stations were open. I know every day I went out, I could get gas. Some gas stations may run out of gas. Gas was really cheap because a lot of people weren't getting gas, but gas stations stayed open. Wholesale stores were open. It's like a grocery store. These are essential things that people needed. They had essential items that people can't live without, so they're going to be open. So which means you're going to continue to be able to make money off of them. And then we have the third one, which I have here, which is Kimco Realty. And they manage companies such as Walmart. We know, many of us remember back in March, April, going to Walmart and not being able to get toilet paper, not being able to get hand sanitizer, not being able to, at one point in time, the shelves were clear of food. Like, we remember these things. So we know Walmart has made a lot of money, especially in this pandemic. Home Depot. We know Home Depot has made a lot of money in this pandemic because when the country shut down, people weren't able to fly. People weren't able to go on cruise ships. People weren't able to go to amusement parks. People were not able to go to the movies. People weren't able to go to restaurants. Home Depot was open. So this money that people had that they usually would allot to those things, they then started allotting it to home improvement. They started allotting it to growing their own food. Like, they started allotting it to these other aspects. And that's where Home Depot came in at. So Home Depot saw an influx in their business because now people aren't spending money going on a cruise because the cruise lines are closed. Now, oh man, my wife been wanting me to redo the deck for 6 months. So now they're going to get supplies for the deck. So now that $1,500 that they would have spent on the cruise, they now put it toward getting a deck. That $2,000 that they would have spent on a family vacation to Disney World, they now put it on, maybe they had to do some maintenance around the house on the roof, or maybe they started a garden. Like, these are things that people did in this pandemic. And then Costco's open, like, essential, simple. So that rounds out the list of the three things that we had or that we can do to basically make money our servant and not allow money to be our master. Now, these were three simple things that I gave you. These aren't the end all be all. These weren't the most elaborate. These weren't, the rocket scientist approaches to investing. However, these are things that you can do small to get you started. And the great thing is too, we also have to change our thought process about investing. I heard it best from Wall Street Trapper. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, individual who does a great job on investing and elaborating on investments and teaching about investments. One thing he said is, I have to start buying back my freedom. Like, no one's going to give us our freedom. And we have to figure out, how can I start buying back my freedom? So when you're looking at investing, you have to start small. Like, everyone wants to hit a home run. You got to try to hit the base hits first. Like, everyone, because we're stuck in a worker's mentality, like, even though we're like, okay, I want to be free, like, we've been stuck in the get your income from one source. And that's not good. You have to have multiple streams of income. You have to. So with that being said, investing will start getting you there, and you have to start small. So if you can get enough shares to where you're getting dividends, monthly dividends or quarterly dividends, to start paying off little things like, okay, let me find something that's going to pay my cell phone bill. Or let me get enough stocks that pays dividends where I can pay my cell phone bill. As a matter of fact, I had a mentor a few years ago when I used to teach. Mentor, he was telling me, some of his financial things that he was doing, and him and his wife did. And so he was telling me, like, his wife wanted them to purchase motorcycles. So he was like, okay, he have the money to do it. However, he has a system in place that he doesn't want to break the system because it's working. Like, if it's working, don't break it. Like, keep it going. So he's like, okay, well, what can I do to where I don't have to implement a motorcycle lease alone into my budget? Like, that's an extra $119 that's going into my budget that I don't have to. What can I do? So what he did was the dividends from his stock that he got, he used that to pay the lease on his motorcycles that his wife wanted. So now he don't have to implement nothing else nothing new into his budget. His budget still stays the same. Everything stays the same. However, the fact that his investments are now paying, that's a big thing right there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut the thought off. You have, the way to escape the rat race is you have to get it to where your assets are covering your liabilities. Oftentimes, most of us, we work, one job or whatever, we're just making ends meet, and we allow that paycheck to cover all of our liabilities. We have to get to a point and figure out ways to where we're purchasing assets, and those assets are covering our liabilities. So a motorcycle payment in the example of my mentor, that motorcycle payment was a liability. However, his stocks that he had, the dividends that he was getting off of that was an asset. So he took the asset and covered the liability. So now the money that he's making going to work every day, that's not covering the liability. That's what you have to do. So when you go out and you start creating assets that's making money your servant, that money being your servant is now going to work for you. So now that money is covering your liabilities. And now you're starting to get your freedom. So you get something that covers your light bill. You get something that covers your water bill. You get something that covers your cell phone bill. You get something that covers date night with your wife every week. Like, these are little things, and then as they start adding up and you start finding more ways, because now that money that you're using, you can now go and put it into something else. And then you can go to the next level. So we were talking about rich as far as real estate. You can then take that money that you're now saving and go invest in actual properties. So now you can get even greater passive income. Now you're owning properties. Like, these are things that we have to think about, implement, and do, but it starts small. Start with getting dividends that pays off your water bill every month. You don't have to worry about that. It pays off your utilities. Now that's a couple of $100 that you're not worried about, and that you can allot to something else. And then as you start building it up, in a few years, you're like, man, now I'm bringing in $100,000+, 6 figures in dividends a year, and that's covering all of my liabilities. So if I'm still working my traditional 9-to-5 job, now you're building wealth. Now you are taking that money and you're investing it into your children, into yourself, into your community, and then you're making the world around you better. Now, for instance, if it comes to your children, you can send them to a private school where they're going to get a better education, better exposure. You can start taking business trips to certain parts of the world that will bring you exposure to things that you aren't used to seeing, all by simply investing and thinking of something different. So with that being said, our main goal is to not make money our master, but make money our servant. We do that by finding ways for our money to work for us instead of us working for our money. So with that being said, I want to thank you for your time. Once again, this is Ori Ibri with the Living Word Initiative. You all have a beautiful night.